Hi everyone, Rosie here. How are you doing? What day is it today? It's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. It's Hump Day today, which is awesome. Let me just, if I can work out how to do this, because this is directly from my laptop. I know I can't. I just wanted to share this in my group, but I can do that super quickly. How is everyone doing? Let's see, see who's going to pop online. Fantastic. Rab, if you're live, could you share this in the group? Thanks. Saves me having to go around and not look at the camera. So who is joining then? We've got a couple of people coming online. Say who you are, where you're from, what you're up to. I'd love to see who is online. And let's get this going. So today we're talking about how to know if you have the skills you need to start a business. So I actually had an email from somebody who'd watched my webinar last week, and she said, I loved your webinar, but I can't start a business because I have no skills. And I'm sorry, but that's just impossible. It's completely impossible that you do not have any skills. Like, even if it's completely basic stuff, like you know how to brush your teeth, you know how to tie your shoelaces. Of course, I wouldn't necessarily build a freedom business around these skills, but you have skills. So the issue is not that you don't have skills. The issue is that you don't believe in your skills. You don't actually see your skills for what they are. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm just going to see if I can this is not going live yet. Okay, no worries. I'll put it in my group. Put it in my group a bit later on. So let me just pull up my notes so I can make sure that I say everything that I want to say for you. And let's get going. So skills. Well, how do we know whether what we're doing is good enough for us to actually start a business from? Now, these have to be skills that not everyone knows how to do. Now, this is something where there's a bit of a sort of a grey area, because if you're very, very good at something and it just comes really naturally to you, then you might not actually realize that it's a skill, that it's something that other people find really complicated. So it could be something, I'm thinking of, really common things, but if you're a very creative person, like you can draw really well, other people really can't draw, they find it really, really difficult. If you're really good at maths, other people aren't. If you are really organized, you're always on time. Some people just have no clue what's happening and what's happening, with timings. So all of these types of things are skills. Now, in terms of creating a good business idea from them, obviously they have to be things not everyone can do naturally themselves. Like I would say 99.9% of people can tie their own shoelaces. That's not gonna change the world massively if you teach people how to do that. But things that people can actually really get value from. So something that they don't necessarily know how to do, that you can either teach them or do for them. So either an information-based business where you're teaching or conveying information in some way, or a service-based business where you can actually do this for them. So I'm assuming right now you've got a job, you're working in a profession, whether you're an accountant or you're a lawyer, or you work in retail, or you do something. Maybe you work in sales. There's many, many, many ways that things that you could do for a job. And you're going to have a lot of very direct skills with that. So let's say you're an accountant, you know how to be an accountant, you know how to crunch numbers, you know how to prepare tax returns. That's all very directly related to accounting. Well, you could just take that and run that freelance and do that online, and just take whatever job you have right now and make that your own business. There's one super, super simple way to just use a skill and just move that into a business. But you might also work in something which doesn't have such direct skills. So you could, let's say you work in like account management, for example. So you're working with clients, you're handling things, you're organizing different people and stakeholders and making projects come together and keeping things to time, and all of these type of more transferable skills. You could actually either use that as a service within, for say like other business owners or whatever, or you could teach people how to become better at that if that's something that you're really interested in. There's so many other skills out there which we don't necessarily think we can monetize, that we don't think anyone's going to pay for. And these are things like, maybe you know a lot about like art or dancing or yoga. I was just talking to somebody in my group today, my free group. You're very welcome to join. I'll put the link in the comments a bit later on. It's called Living Rosie. You can find it there. And this person, she has, she creates art. She gets people asking, giving commissions to create portraits. That is the perfect service-based business, because they can't paint themselves, obviously, and she can paint them, and then they get this beautiful picture, and that's worth a lot of money to them. So that's an example of something that you could use. If you're good at drawing, for example, you could use that. If you can, create the business around that. So in terms of things that you could do, I'm just thinking of what some of my clients have done. There's such a broad variety. So I've got one client, Ashley. She works, she teaches people how to go through the process of foaling their horses. So basically helping the horse get pregnant and give birth. Super niche, but she's doing super well with that. Politics. One of my clients, Corey, she started a political education company which goes into schools and teaches kids how to become more active citizens, basically, and how to understand Parliament and all the rest of it. That's another thing, that she had a degree in politics, but it was more of a personal interest, that was something she's really passionate about, and she connected that to a cause of helping kids and young people become more active members of society. Wellness. I have one client, Tiffany. She is pregnant. She helps women become more fertile and sort of manage the whole process of being pregnant, and working from a wellness perspective with yoga and meditation and nutrition and all the rest of it. I have other types of wellness coaches out there as well. I have Leah, who is more focused on burnout. Very, very different types of experiences and different ideas. I've even got one of my clients, Vanessa, who's working on her business idea right now. She has got really into Tibetan singing and Tibetan singing bowls, which are a healing method. So trying to bring that into, using that skill and creating a result for her clients using that is another way you can do that. So such diverse things, and such, some of them are things that you probably would never have known that you could monetize, the knowledge of horse foaling or an interest in politics. These are just things for people to take for granted, but that's something that you can actually package up and create something for your clients with. So one thing that's just really important with this is that you do not have to be a world-leading expert. This is really important, and this is where people start to get confused, and they start to not to sort of discount their knowledge because they don't believe that it's enough. So, when I started my first business, I was in the corporate world, I was completely burning out, and I just felt really horrendous all the time. I had no energy, my digestive system wasn't working very well. I didn't know it at the time, but I'd actually developed a stress-related autoimmune disease because of just the horrendous lifestyle that I was leading. And so I had so many physical symptoms, there's a load of health stuff going wrong. So I actually got made redundant around that same time, which was kind of a blessing in disguise, because it gave me that time out to actually focus on my health and get myself back together. And so for 6 months, I just focused on getting myself healthy. I got really into yoga, got into running, got into raw food and nutrition and everything else. And I just had this space, because obviously luckily I'd been paid out from being redundant. I had this space for a few months to sort of breathe and just get myself back together. And I was, looking for some jobs as well. And this is kind of the beginning of me starting to discover business, but I hadn't really sort of found myself yet. So I tell this story in my webinar. I'll put the link to my webinar in the comments as well, but later on. That's a great one to watch. So anyway, I was just working on my own health. Now, fast forward about, what would it be, about a year from that point of just being made redundant and kind of starting to work on my health. I then took that knowledge that I had gained in everything from nutrition to wellness to meditation to everything else, and I put that into, first of all, it was just a blog. I was just trying to help other people and share the knowledge that I'd shared. Down the line, as I learned more about business, I actually discovered a way to create that as a health coaching practice. But I wasn't a published author. I didn't have a health cookbook or anything like that was published, or a TV show or anything like that. I was just a normal person with some information and some knowledge to share. And interestingly on this, in the beginning, I believed that everyone had to have, formal qualifications, and you had to, tick boxes and this and this and that. So I went off and I did a nutrition course at a school in London. And I actually realized that not that I was special or anything, but I knew everything that was in that course because I had done such a huge amount of research for me already in the 6 months or so, or probably about 9 months that I had been sort of gearing up to take this course. So yes, I really believe you do need to be qualified, but you also need to not discount the knowledge that you already have. Just because you don't necessarily have a piece of paper doesn't mean that you don't have something really valuable to share. So, if let's say you've raised, you've had a lot of kids and you've raised your children, or you've learned a lot about negotiation in your workplace or something like that, you don't necessarily have a qualification that says, you got this as parent, or you can do this for negotiation. But that doesn't mean that you don't have really, really important skills in that area that other people can learn from, other people can value and can actually benefit from. So yes, you can't just be a fraud and start off in something that you have no knowledge in at all. Like I couldn't become a skydiving instructor because I have no idea how to skydive. I've never done it in my life before, and that would be really unethical and I'd definitely kill a lot of people. But you can use something which you have experience in, but not necessarily a qualification. So that's the sort of the fine line there, which I always say, you don't need to have a qualification, but you do need to have knowledge. You can't just make stuff up as you go along. But you'd be surprised how much knowledge and how many skills you have across the board in so many different areas of your life, and so many things that you're just discounting right now, which would be massive as a business for you, and could easily replace your salary, and you could easily find clients with and really help those clients as well. Like that's the thing that a lot of people freak out about, is that they say, well, I couldn't help anyone, what do I know, I'm not good enough, and it's actually making it all about them. I'm not good enough, I can't do this. And you're holding in all this knowledge and all this help that you could be giving other people. So rather than sitting and freaking out about it and making it this big drama, actually get out of your own mind, out of your own problems, and actually just give and help other people. So that's one thing which is such a sort of a mindset shift when you're first starting, is that actually you holding all this stuff inside is selfish. It's not helping other people. Whereas if you actually give and start sharing your knowledge and build this business and get that message out there, then you will actually be helping other people. So the main point of this video today is that you have skills. It's guaranteed that you have skills. You might not know what they are. You might not have actually, you might be discounting them. You might not be believing that you are good enough. But you have skills. It's guaranteed. I can 100% promise you that, and I would put money on the fact that you have something which you can use and you can build into a business. And even if you're halfway there, like there's nothing wrong with getting a qualification. Like let's say you love yoga, but you're not confident enough to actually teach it, you could do a yoga certification. You don't have to not take a qualification if that's something that you want to do. So one of my clients, Sophie, she is becoming a stylist. And she's, in the process of that qualification right now. She already knows a lot, actually, but she's learning more as well. So more of the sort of the technical stuff, like matching colors and body shapes and all that side of things. And she's loving it. And she's still in her job right now. She only started working with me a couple months ago. But she's, her previous job is like something really, really different. I won't say the industry because it's not many women in that industry, actually. It's one of those types of industries. And she is loving her styling, and she's learning so much, and she's building the business alongside doing the learning as well, because she has some knowledge and she can then back that up with the formal sort of more scientific part of the qualification. So what I would love for you to do is, if this is interesting for you, if you'd love to know more about how you can actually find a business idea, you discover which skills are actually working for you, I have a webinar which is running right now, and I would love for you to watch that, because one of the main components of that webinar is how to actually find your business idea, how to actually find your skills, and we go through a 3-step process in order to actually find the skills which are going to help you start a business. So the webinar, I'm going to put the link in the comments in just a second. The webinar is called How to Start a Business Alongside Your Job in the Next 6 Months Without Having to Quit Your Job First, even if you don't have time, if you don't have tech skills, and if you don't have a business idea. It's quite a long title, that webinar. And we share 3 things on this webinar. So the first one is how to actually start your business even if you don't have a business idea, and I go into how you can actually discover the skills that you have and package them up and make them into a business idea. And then I talk a lot about how to drop fear and doubt around your business, which again comes back to this feeling of not being enough, of not having enough skills, of not being able to, not being expert enough, which is just nonsense. So the second part of that is how to actually drop your fear down, become confident in your new business, confident in your new business idea. So that's going to be super helpful for you as well. And then the third part is how to build your business alongside your job in less than an hour a day. So I've got loads of amazing time hacks for you and strategy for how you can actually build your business in less than an hour a day. So I would love for you to join us on that webinar as well. I'm going to put the link in the comments and in the title of this video. And I'll catch you very, very soon. Bye for now, guys.